00:00:00, 1 minute and 7 seconds. On my 18th birthday, I woke up to find all my stuff packed in cardboard boxes by the front door. My adoptive mom, Janet, was sitting at the kitchen table with her laptop open, showing me numbers on a screen. "The payments stopped today, Marcus," she said, clicking through a spreadsheet. "We got paid to take care of you. $1,200 every month. Now you're grown, so the money's gone. My name is Marcus Anderson. That's the name I've had since I was a baby. This woman is Janet Anderson. She's 48 years old and works at a grocery store. She's talking to me like I'm a bill she doesn't want to pay anymore. Next to her is Tom Anderson, my adoptive dad. He fixes computers for a living. He taught me how to ride a bike once, but I'm starting to think he only did it because the neighbors were watching." "You can't be serious," I said, feeling my voice shake. "It's my birthday. You're really doing this on my birthday?" Tom looked down at his coffee cup. "The money from the government stops when you turn 18. That's just how it works, kid. How it works. I'm your son. I'm not some kind of business deal." Janet closed her laptop and looked at me with eyes that felt cold. "Marcus, we took you in because the state paid us to. We gave you food and a bed and clothes. We did what we were supposed to do. Now that job is finished." She pointed to a corner where I saw my old backpack stuffed full. "Your things are ready. You need to take them and find somewhere else to stay." I looked at her hands. Those same hands made my lunches for school, but now I realize she only made the cheapest sandwiches. Those same hands signed my report cards, but she never asked if I was happy. Those same hands never held mine when I was scared. "You need to leave by 2 o'clock, Janet said. "That gives you about 3 hours to figure things out." Tom finally looked up. "Janet, maybe we could let him stay a few more days." She gave him a look that shut him up fast. "We need this room, Tom. Someone called about renting it yesterday. They want to move in tomorrow." "You're renting out my room?" I felt sick. "You already found someone to take my place?" "It's not your room," Janet said. "It never was. You were staying here while we got paid to let you stay." I stood there in that kitchen where I ate breakfast every day for 18 years, looking at these two people I called Mom and Dad. I made them cards on Mother's Day and Father's Day. I tried so hard to make them smile. Tom wouldn't look at me anymore. Janet went back to her laptop like this was just another normal morning. "I don't have anywhere to go," I whispered. "I only have $35 saved up. Where am I supposed to sleep tonight?" Janet pulled out a piece of paper from a folder. Of course she had this ready. "There's a place downtown that helps people who need somewhere to stay. The address is written here. A homeless shelter. The woman who raised me for 18 years was sending me to a homeless shelter like it was no big deal." "Please," I said, and I hate that I had to beg. "Just give me 1 week. I'll find a job. I'll pay you money to stay here." "What money?" Janet asked. "You work part-time at that pizza place. You make minimum wage. That's not enough to pay real rent." She was right. I'd been saving money for college, but I only had $600 total. That wouldn't even pay for 1 month anywhere. Tom stood up quickly. "I need to go to work," he mumbled, grabbing his keys. He stopped at the door for just a second. "Good luck, Marcus." Then he left. I heard his car start and drive away, leaving me alone with Janet and her laptop and my boxes of stuff. "Time is ticking," Janet said. "I have things to do at noon, and I'm locking the door when I leave." I walked over to my backpack and picked it up. It was so light. 18 years of living here, and everything I owned fit in one backpack. Inside were my clothes, some books, my phone charger, and a watch my pizza shop boss gave me last Christmas. Nothing from Janet or Tom. No photos of us together. No memories. Nothing to prove I was ever part of this family. "Did you ever care about me?" I asked. "Even once? Did you ever think of me as your real son?" Janet looked at me for a long moment. "I thought of you as my job. And I did that job well. We never hurt you. We never let you go hungry. We did everything the state asked us to do." But that wasn't enough. It would never be enough. I stood there holding my backpack with everything I owned, about to walk out into a world where I had nowhere to go. "Goodbye, Janet," I said. I didn't call her Mom. She was already back on her laptop, typing something, probably about the new person who would rent my room. I opened the door and walked out. I heard it lock behind me. Click. Then I heard the chain lock slide into place. Then nothing but the sound of kids playing down the street and dogs barking. Normal life going on like nothing had changed. I stood on the sidewalk with my backpack, $35 in my wallet, and nowhere to go. The paper Janet gave me with the shelter address was already getting crumpled in my hand. My phone buzzed. A text from Janet: "You're off our phone plan. Service ends tonight. Get your own plan." Even my phone was going to stop working. Everything about my life with them had a time limit, and that time was up. I started walking toward downtown, not knowing what else to do. Living with Janet and Tom in their house wasn't perfect, but I thought all families were like this. That's what I told myself when Janet would introduce me at the grocery store as Marcus, our adopted boy, always saying the word adopted extra loud. Tom would just stand there quiet, never saying anything to make it better. They adopted me when I was just a tiny baby. I don't know much about how it happened. Janet kept all the papers locked in a box in her closet. I only saw her open it twice, and both times she closed it fast when I came near, like she didn't want me to see. Our house was small but clean. 3 bedrooms with white walls and brown furniture. Janet said colors cost too much money. "Plain walls never go out of style," she'd say. Same with clothes. Store brand is just as good as name brand. Everything was about saving money. Tom taught me useful things, but I think now it was just to keep me busy. He showed me how to fix a flat tire, how to paint a fence, how to clean gutters. "A man should know how to fix stuff," he'd say. But he had a special motorcycle he kept in the garage, covered with a sheet. "That's not for kids," he'd say, even when I got older. The locked closet in the hallway should have told me something was wrong. They said it was just storage, but sometimes I'd hear Janet in there talking on her phone, speaking quietly about numbers. When I was little, I thought maybe she was doing extra work from home. Now I wonder if she was talking to someone about me, about the money they got for keeping me. School was my safe place. I wasn't the smartest kid or the most popular. I was just average at everything. Teachers liked me because I didn't cause trouble. Other kids were okay with me because I could help fix their bikes or their skateboards. I had friends, kind of. The type you hang out with at lunch but never invite home. How could I invite them over? Our house felt like a museum where everything had to stay perfect. No mess allowed. No fun allowed. I got a job at Mario's Pizza when I turned 16. Mr. Mario was an old man, maybe 65, with gray hair and lots of tattoos from when he was in the army. He knew more about making pizza than anyone. "You got good hands, kid," he'd tell me. "You're careful. That's important." He paid me cash at first, then officially once I was older. The money I made went into my savings account, except Janet made me pay her for things once I started working. $40 a month for using more electricity, $25 for extra wear on the house, $20 for paperwork and management, which I think meant the time she spent keeping track of my money. She wrote it all down in a notebook. Of course she did. I bought my own clothes from thrift stores, paid for my own school supplies, bought my own phone with a cheap plan. Janet said it would teach me responsibility. Tom said nothing, which is what he said about most things. The 2 pictures I had of us were both forced. One from when I was 7 at a family reunion, wearing a stiff shirt that itched. One from 8th grade graduation because the school made parents take photos. Janet kept them in a drawer, not on the wall. The walls had generic pictures of flowers and trees from the home store. Nothing personal. Nothing that showed a family lived there. Dinner was always at 6 o'clock exactly. Janet would cook meals that could stretch for days. Sunday's chicken became Monday's sandwiches, Tuesday's soup, Wednesday's casserole. She had it all planned out. How much food for how much money? We ate quietly with the TV news on in the background. Tom would occasionally grunt at something on TV. Janet would cut her food into perfect little pieces. Once when I was about 13, I asked about my real parents. The whole room went cold. They couldn't take care of you, Janet said sharply. We took you when nobody else would. That's all you need to know. Tom added quietly, better not to think about the past, son. It was one of the few times he called me son, and it almost sounded real. Birthdays were acknowledged but not celebrated. A card that said, Happy Birthday, with their names signed at the bottom. Christmas was the same. Practical gifts only. Socks. School supplies. One year a calculator because I needed it for math class. The Christmas tree came down on December 26th, no matter what. No point wasting electricity on lights, Janet would say. I see everything differently now. Every memory has a new meaning. The way Janet kept track of every penny spent on me. The way Tom called me the boy when talking to his work friends. The way they never came to parent-teacher conferences unless the school absolutely required it. The way they would whisper to each other and stop when I walked in. I realize now they were probably talking about their monthly payment. But here's the thing about growing up without real love. You don't know it's missing until you see what real love looks like. I thought all families were like business deals. I thought all parents kept notebooks tracking expenses. I thought everyone's home felt temporary, like it could disappear at any moment. Turns out I was right about that last part. Sit down, Marcus, Janet said that morning, staring at her laptop screen. The kitchen table was covered in papers and spreadsheets and bank statements. Now that you're 18, the payments stop. My heart dropped like I'd fallen off a cliff. What payments? Tom shifted in his chair, making it creak. He was wearing his work shirt, probably ready to escape to his computer repair shop where he could hide behind broken laptops. The government payments, Janet continued. $1,200 every month for 18 years. That's why we took you in. The words hit me like punches. I actually felt each one in my chest. $1,200 every month for 18 years. I did the math in my head even as my world fell apart. $259,200. That's what I was worth to them. We gave you what the state required, Janet said, her voice flat like she was reading a shopping list. Food. A bed. School. The contract is done. You need to leave by 2 o'clock. You're kidding, I said, my voice cracking. This is my birthday. You're really telling me this on my birthday? The boxes have your things, Janet said, pointing with her pen. Leave your house key on the counter. And the garage door opener too. She knew everything. Janet always knew everything that might cost her money or mess up her control. I don't understand, I said, but I was starting to. The pieces were falling into place like a puzzle I didn't want to see. You raised me. I call you Mom and Dad. How can you just kick me out? You're an adult now, Janet said, finally looking up from her computer. We don't have to let you stay anymore. In fact, keeping you here would mess up our taxes. You're not worth money to us anymore, so you're just costing us money. Costing money. I was being talked about like a car that broke down and wasn't worth fixing. Please, I said, and I got down on my knees right there on the kitchen floor. That floor I mopped every Saturday for 18 years. I'll get a full-time job. I'll pay you rent. I'll buy my own food. Just give me 1 month to figure things out. Tom looked away, staring at the wall like he'd never seen it before. Janet just pointed at the clock. It's 10:45. You have until 2. Don't make this harder. I stayed on my knees for maybe a minute, waiting for something. Anything. A crack in their coldness. A sign they cared even a little bit. But Janet went back to her laptop and Tom got up to pour more coffee, stepping around me like I was a piece of furniture in the way. When I finally stood up, my legs were shaking. 18 years, I said. Doesn't that mean anything? You were well taken care of, Janet said. 3 meals a day. Clean clothes. School. Everything the state said we had to do. You got what you were supposed to get. What about love? The question came out so quiet I barely heard it myself. Janet's fingers stopped typing for just a second. Love doesn't pay the mortgage, Marcus. I went to my room. The walls were empty because Janet didn't believe in posters. The furniture was basic, probably bought cheap from some second-hand store. I opened my closet and saw my clothes already sorted into piles. Stuff I bought myself went in the boxes. Stuff they bought stayed behind. My phone charger stayed because they bought it. The alarm clock stayed because it came with the room. A baseball glove Tom bought me when I was 11 stayed, even though we never once played catch. Not even one time. He bought it because school required it for gym class. Nothing more. I found myself in the bathroom looking in the mirror. Brown eyes. Black hair. Average height. Normal build. I looked like nobody special. Is that why it was so easy for them? Because I was ordinary enough to not matter? Back in the kitchen, Janet was on her phone. Yes, the room is available this afternoon. $425 a month. Includes utilities. First month and deposit due up front. She was already renting out my room. While I was still in the house, she was finding my replacement. But not another foster kid. A paying tenant. Someone who would make her money. Who were my real parents? I asked suddenly. Janet covered the phone. Does it matter? They gave you up. Now we're giving you up. Seems pretty consistent. You know who they were. The state gave us basic medical information. Nothing else mattered for our arrangement. Our arrangement. That's what my whole childhood was. An arrangement. Tom came back from the garage holding a $10 bill. He handed it to me without looking at my face. For food, he mumbled. Until you figure things out. $10. After $259,200 in payments, he was giving me $10. I wanted to rip it up and throw it at him. But I took it. Pride doesn't matter when you're about to be homeless. Time's up, Janet said at exactly 2 o'clock. She stood by the door, holding it open. We have appointments this afternoon. I picked up my backpack, which felt way too light for a whole life. As I walked past her, I stopped. Did you ever, even once, think of me as your son? She looked at me with those cold eyes that never got warm. Not once in 18 years. I thought of you as my responsibility. I handled that responsibility well. The door closed behind me. Click. I heard the deadbolt. Then the chain. Then nothing but normal neighborhood sounds. Kids playing. Dogs barking. Families being families in ways I would never understand. I stood on the sidewalk with my backpack and $10 and nowhere to go. The paper with the shelter address was wet with sweat from my hand. My phone buzzed. Janet, you're off our phone plan. Service ends at midnight. Even my phone had a time limit. Everything about my existence with them had been scheduled and budgeted and was now being shut down. I started walking downtown. It was a long walk, but I had nowhere else to go. Last Tuesday, July 10th, everything changed. I was sitting outside the public library, my usual spot on the steps where security cameras didn't see and guards didn't bother you if you looked clean. 4 months living in shelters taught me that looking clean matters. Shower every day even if the water is freezing. Shave with the cheap razors they give you at the shelter. Keep your clothes clean even if you have to wash them in bathroom sinks. A man in a black suit walked up, and my body tensed. You learn that reflex fast when you're homeless. Black suits usually mean police or social workers, and neither brings good news. But this man walked different. Like he'd been looking for something and finally found it. Marcus Anderson, he asked, pulling out a wallet. My first thought was to run. 4 months on the streets taught you that when a suit knows your name, bad things happen. But I was tired. Tired of running, tired of hiding, tired of being nobody. Depends who's asking. My name is Carlos Martinez. I'm a private investigator. He handed me a card. Fancy card, thick paper, gold letters. Real expensive. I've been looking for you for 4 months. Your biological father hired me to find you years ago, but the adoption records were locked. When you turned 18 and got that job at the pizza place, your social security number popped up in the system. The words, biological father, made electricity shoot through my whole body. Carlos sat down on the steps next to me, not caring about his expensive suit getting dirty. That small thing meant more than he knew. James Sullivan. He's been searching for you since the day he signed those adoption papers. Been. I caught that word. Was. Why isn't he here? Carlos's face got soft. The look people get when they're about to tell you something that will break you. I'm sorry to tell you this, but he died last week. His car crashed on the highway. He was driving to meet you when it happened. The words didn't make sense at first. I'd spent 4 months imagining someone coming to find me. Someone who cared I existed. Now someone had, and he was gone. Carlos pulled out a tablet and showed me a photo. This is him. I stared at the screen and saw my own face, just older. Same brown eyes. Same nose. Same small scar on the chin. But where my eyes looked tired and sad, his looked strong and determined. He was wearing a suit that probably cost more than Janet and Tom's monthly house payment. He was standing in front of a big glass building with Sullivan Tech Solutions written across it. Tech, I said, remembering how Tom taught me to fix computers. CEO and founder, Carlos confirmed. Started with one small repair shop 20 years ago. Built it into a huge company. He never got married. Never had other kids. He said he couldn't. Not until he found you. Why did he give me up? The question hurt coming out. Carlos showed me another photo. This one older, grainier. A young man, barely 20, holding a tiny baby. He was 21 when you were born. Your mom, Sarah Anderson, died in a car accident when you were 1 month old. Drunk driver hit her. James's parents told him he was too young to raise a baby alone. That you'd be better off with a stable family with 2 parents. He signed the papers and regretted it immediately. Immediately. I felt anger starting. He regretted it right away, but it took him 18 years to find me. He tried to take it back the next day, but you'd already been placed with the Andersons. The records were sealed. He spent 18 years and millions of dollars trying to break through the legal system. Private investigators, lawyers, people who tried to change adoption laws in our state. He hired me 6 years ago. I was his 12th investigator. Carlos pulled out a thick folder full of papers. 4 years ago, I found you. Found the Andersons. But when James tried to contact you, they threatened to call the police. Restraining orders. Harassment charges. They knew he was looking for you, Marcus. They knew and never told you. The rage that filled me was hot and pure. Janet and Tom had known. Someone had wanted me. Someone had been desperately searching for me, and they hid it to keep getting their checks. He was supposed to be here, Carlos continued. The plan was to come see you the day you turned 18, when the Andersons couldn't legally stop him anymore. But the car accident happened March 14th. 1 day before your birthday. March 14th. While I was working at the pizza shop, planning what to say to Janet and Tom at my birthday dinner, my father was dying in a car crash, still trying to reach me. There's more, Carlos said, standing up. We need to go to the lawyer's office. There are papers you need to see. Decisions you need to make. Decisions. I laughed, but it sounded bitter and angry. I live in a homeless shelter. I own 1 pair of shoes. What decisions could I possibly make? Carlos looked at me with something like pity in his eyes. James Sullivan left everything to you. Every penny, every building, every share of his company. You're about to become one of the richest people in the state. I stood there on those library steps where I'd spent so many days filling out job applications for minimum wage jobs, getting rejected from fast food places because I graduated high school and they said I was overqualified. I tried to process what he was saying. I don't understand, I said. He never met me. I could be anyone. I could be a bad person. You're his son, Carlos said simply. That was enough for him. He used to say, I don't need to know him to love him. I've loved him since the day I lost him. The drive to the lawyer's office felt like a dream. Carlos's car smelled like leather and fresh coffee. Clean and expensive. The air conditioning worked perfectly. Soft music played on the radio. It was the opposite of every bus ride I'd taken to job interviews, hoping my deodorant would last and praying my clothes didn't smell like the shelter. He talked about you all the time, Carlos said as we drove through fancy parts of town I'd never seen before. Tall glass buildings and perfect green grass. Every meeting ended with asking if I'd found you yet. Every success he had was measured by whether it brought him closer to finding you. The board of directors used to joke that Sullivan Tech was really just a way to fund the search for Marcus Anderson. Did he know anything about me? About how I was living? He knew the Andersons were getting paid by the state. It killed him knowing they were making money off keeping you. He tried to offer them cash. 20 times what the state paid. Just to let him see you. They said no. Said any contact would be bad for your well-being. Bad for my well-being. Janet had used my well-being as an excuse while she counted her monthly checks. The lawyer's office was on the 35th floor of a building I'd walked past 100 times but never entered. The elevator ride felt like going to a different planet. One where people's shoes were shiny and their clothes fit right and their futures weren't determined by strangers. Mrs. Park, the lawyer, was waiting in a conference room with windows overlooking the whole city. The city spread out below us, and somewhere down there was the shelter where my bed was probably already given to someone else. "Mr. Anderson," she said, and I almost corrected her. Almost said that wasn't really my name. But what was? "Please sit. We have a lot to discuss." Mrs. Park placed a sealed envelope on the table. James's name written across it in shaky handwriting. "Your father wrote this the morning he died. He wanted you to open it. No one else has read it." My hands shook as I broke the seal. Inside was a handwritten letter on nice paper with his name at the top, and a small silver key with an address tag. The letter was 4 pages long, covered in rushed handwriting. Like he knew time was running out. "My son, if you're reading this, then I didn't make it to you in time. But at least you've been found. Your mother died in a car accident when you were just 1 month old. Her name was Sarah Anderson, and she was the love of my life. You have her smile, though I guess you wouldn't know that. I was 21, scared, and stupid. My parents convinced me that a single dad, especially one as young and unprepared as I was, couldn't give you what you needed. They had already contacted an adoption agency. Already found the perfect family. A stable couple who couldn't have kids of their own. I signed the papers while I was still grieving and confused. I regretted it the next day. I had to stop reading. The conference room had gone blurry. Mrs. Park quietly pushed tissues across the table. By then you were gone. Hidden behind legal walls I spent 18 years trying to tear down. The Andersons had you, and the state said the case was closed. I tried everything. Legal battles, private investigators, even bribing court clerks, which got me in huge legal trouble but was worth trying. The key opens a storage unit at the address below. Inside is everything I gathered while looking for you. Every birthday present I bought but couldn't give. Every letter I wrote but couldn't send. And the truth about why finding you became my whole life. The letter continued, "Your mother's last name was Anderson. I named the company's biggest project after you. The Anderson Initiative. Launched on what would have been your 15th birthday. It's the most successful thing we ever created. I built a tech empire hoping it would be loud enough for you to hear me calling for you. Every contract I signed, every deal I made, I did it thinking maybe this would be the one that made enough money to break through to you. I'm sorry I wasn't strong enough to keep you. I'm sorry I wasn't fast enough to find you. But I never stopped loving you. Not for one single day. The fortune I'm leaving you isn't an inheritance. It's 18 years of apologies in the only language I had left." Carlos drove me to the storage unit address. A plain building on the edge of town. It looked like nothing from outside. Just another warehouse. But inside, past security doors and locked gates, was a room that took my breath away. The walls were covered floor to ceiling with proof of his search. Private investigator reports. Thousands of them. Photos showing what I might look like at different ages. Every Marcus Anderson in America had been investigated. There were newspaper clippings from my school. My honor roll announcement, my name in tiny letters circled in red ink with, "Is this him?" written in the margin. He'd been so close so many times. The middle of the room had 18 boxes of birthday presents. Each one wrapped and labeled. A toy race car for age 3 with a note, "Every boy should have a car." A basketball for age 8, I would have taught you to shoot hoops. A set of car keys for 16, your first car, a Camaro, just like your mother loved. The car was apparently still in storage, waiting. But it was the desk that broke me. Hundreds of letters organized by date. I picked one randomly from age 12. Marcus, you're 12 today. I wonder if you like science. I loved chemistry at your age before I got into computers. I hope someone is teaching you to throw a football. I hope someone tells you they're proud of you. I am, even from far away. I got your school photo today. Bought it from a company that sells yearbook pictures online. You look serious, thoughtful. Your mother had that same look when she was thinking hard. I carry your photo everywhere. The board thinks I'm crazy, pulling out a school photo of a boy I've never met during million-dollar negotiations. But you keep me grounded. Remind me why I'm building this. All of this is for you. Carlos stood quietly by the door as I went through letter after letter. Year after year of a father's love written in ink and paper. Then I found the folder that changed everything. Failed contact attempts, Anderson family. Inside were documents, legal letters, emails. James had found me 4 years ago. He'd tried to make contact. Sent letters. Even showed up at the house once. Janet and Tom had responded with lawyers. Threatened to call the police. Filed for a restraining order. There were photos of my house. Of me walking to school. Getting into Tom's car. Working at the pizza place. My father had been watching from a distance, legally forbidden from coming closer. One email from Janet to James's lawyer was highlighted in yellow. Mr. Sullivan's contact attempts are disruptive to our family structure. Marcus is thriving in our care and doesn't need confusion from a biological parent. Any further attempts will result in criminal charges. The monthly payments we receive from the state are irrelevant to this matter and should not be considered as motivation for maintaining custody. She'd known. She'd known everything and kept it secret to keep her monthly money coming. At the bottom of the folder was a USB drive labeled Final Message. Carlos pulled out a laptop and we plugged it in. James's face appeared on screen. The date showed 1 week before his death. He looked exhausted but determined. Marcus, tomorrow I'm driving to meet you. Carlos finally confirmed you'll be 18 and free from the Andersons' control. After 18 years, I'm finally going to meet my son. I've practiced what to say 1,000 times, but I know I'll just cry. I hope you can forgive a young man's cowardice. I hope we can build something from whatever time we have left. I made a reservation at a restaurant for your birthday dinner. Somewhere nice. Somewhere that serves good chocolate cake. Everyone likes chocolate cake on their birthdays, right? I never got to see you blow out candles or make wishes. I have 18 years of wishes saved up. They're all just different versions of the same thing. Bring my boy home. The timestamp showed 11:30 p.m. March 13th. He died at his desk 7 hours later, planning our meeting. Carlos finally spoke, his voice quiet. The paramedic said he was holding printouts of driving directions to the pizza place where you worked. And your photo. He had your photo in his hand when they found him. I sat in that storage unit, surrounded by 18 years of love I never got. Presents I never opened. Letters I never read. And felt the full weight of what had been stolen from me. Not just by Janet and Tom, but by timing. By fate. By a car accident that happened 1 day too soon. There's one more thing, Mrs. Parks said, pulling out her tablet. The estate value. Sullivan Tech Solutions, valued at $91 million. 3 houses across the state, all paid for completely. A cabin in the mountains he bought the year you turned 9. Named it Anderson's Rest. Various investments and savings totaling another $25 million. It's all yours, Mr. Anderson. Anderson. She'd called me Mr. Anderson. For the first time in my life, I had a name that someone wanted me to have. I'm 19 now. CEO of a tech company I'm still learning to run. The board members who watched James search for me for 18 years have become my teachers. Sharing stories about my father I'll never get to make myself. They tell me about his determination. How he'd drop everything and fly to random cities on weekends following leads that I might be there. How he kept a desk drawer full of my school photos bought from public records. How every major business decision was followed by, "Will this help me find my son?" The houses felt wrong at first. Too big. Too empty. Filled with the ghost of a man I never met but who loved me more than anyone ever had. I kept one house, the one where James lived, leaving his bedroom exactly as he left it. His cologne still sits on the dresser. His reading glasses still sit on the nightstand, marking his place in a book about adoption law he'll never finish. Sometimes I sit in his office surrounded by his handwritten notes about me and talk to him like he's listening. I tell him about my day, about the company, about the life he made possible. The other two houses have been transformed. They're homes now for kids who aged out of foster care and homeless teens. The shelter where I spent 4 months eating stale sandwiches and sleeping on a cot that smelled like bleach now gets a monthly donation that makes sure no one goes hungry or cold. The director asked me once why I don't want my name on the buildings or donations. I told her the truth. It's not charity when you've lived it. It's just paying back what the world owes to kids like me. Carlos still works for me, but his job is different now. He helps me find other lost kids. Other biological parents searching for children they lost to the system. We've reunited 15 families so far. Last month we found a 16-year-old girl whose biological mother had been searching for 14 years. I paid for their reunion dinner and watched from across the restaurant as they cried over cold pasta they were too emotional to eat. That's what James never got. That moment. That chance to cry over birthday cake while making up for lost time. I visited Janet and Tom once. Just once. They'd moved to a tiny apartment across town. The kind with broken parking lot lights and cracked windows. Tom was working 2 jobs at different computer stores. Janet had taken a night job doing bookkeeping. Without my monthly payment, their carefully budgeted life had collapsed. "We gave you what you needed," Janet said when she opened the door. She didn't invite me in. Her face showed no surprise at seeing me. "No," I replied, standing in their doorway wearing a suit that cost more than their monthly rent. "You gave me what the state paid you to give. But James, who never met me, gave me everything. He gave me love that didn't need payment." Tom appeared behind her, looking older and more tired. "Marcus, we heard about your inheritance. If you could help us out, we did raise you for 18 years after all." The nerve of it should have made me angry. Instead, I just felt sorry for them. "You raised me for $259,200 in government payments. By my math, you've been paid in full." I left them there in their calculated poverty and never looked back. The mountain cabin remains mostly untouched, exactly as James left it. He'd filled it with things he thought I might like. Fishing poles, though he didn't know if I liked fishing. Sports equipment for every sport imaginable. Books on every subject. He was preparing for any version of me. Ready to love whoever I turned out to be. I go there when running his company feels too heavy. When I miss the father I never met. I sit on the dock he built and fish with the rod he bought me. Catching nothing. Just existing in a space he created for us to share. Mr. Mario was right all those years ago. I did have tech in my blood. Literally in my DNA. A genetic gift from a father who turned computer repairs into an empire while searching for his lost son. But more than that, I have his determination. His refusal to give up. Every signature I sign as CEO, I sign as Marcus Sullivan Anderson, honoring both the man who never stopped looking and the woman who gave her life bringing me into this world. The James Sullivan Foundation for Foster Youth has placed 52 kids with screened families this year. Real families who want children, not paychecks. We pay for everything, but the money goes into trust funds for the kids, not the parents. I interview every family personally. I know what questions to ask. What lies to watch for. I know the difference between a house and a home. Between caregivers and parents. Between obligation and love. Last week, I got a letter from one of the kids we placed. A 6-year-old named Emma. She wrote in messy crayon, "Thank you for my family. They tuck me in every night. They say I love you even when I mess up. They put my drawings on the fridge." That letter sits on my desk next to James's final note to me. 2 generations of love. 1 lost. 1 found. The money doesn't erase 4 months of freezing showers in shelters. Or 18 years of emotional starvation. It doesn't bring back the father who loved me from a distance. Who died 24 hours before he could hold me for the first time since I was a baby. But it does mean I can make sure no child goes through what I did. It means James's love, 18 years in the making, continues spreading outward. Finding lost children. Building real families. Creating the connections that Janet and Tom proved can't be bought. Because that's what real love looks like. Not a monthly payment or a calculated trade. Not a contract fulfilled or an obligation completed. Love looks like a man spending 18 years and millions of dollars just to say 3 words he never got to speak. Welcome home, son. Love looks like hundreds of unopened birthday presents waiting in storage. Like letters written to a ghost. Like a private investigator hired to watch from afar because the law won't let you come closer. Like building an empire as a lighthouse, hoping your lost child might see the light and find their way home. James Sullivan died thinking he'd failed. He didn't. He'd spent 18 years showing me what it means to love someone without conditions. To never give up. To build something beautiful from loss and longing. He taught me that real parents aren't the ones who keep you for the checks, but the ones who would spend everything, sacrifice everything, just to know you're okay. I keep his final video on my phone. Watch it when I need to remember what love looks like. My father, exhausted from 18 years of searching, holding driving directions to come find me, saying he loves me, saying he's coming, saying nothing will stop him this time. Death stopped him. But love didn't. Love found a way. Love always does. Some nights I dream about that birthday dinner he planned. The chocolate cake he ordered. The candles I would have blown out. In my dreams, he makes it. He doesn't crash. We sit across from each other at that restaurant. 2 strangers with the same face. The same eyes. The same tech genius in our blood. He tells me he's sorry. I tell him I understand. We both cry over chocolate cake that tastes like forgiveness. Then I wake up in his house, running his company, living his dream of bringing me home. And I realize the dream came true. Just not the way either of us imagined. I'm home now. In a house built by love. In a life funded by determination. In a future he created while refusing to let me go. Janet and Tom gave me up for free the moment the check stopped. James never gave up. Not even when his heart stopped beating in that car crash. That's the difference between a transaction and a transformation. Between housing and home. Between people who kept me and the one who loved me. Welcome home, son. I finally made it, Dad. I finally made it home. The foundation just broke ground on our 5th transition house. This one in the neighborhood where I used to walk to the library. Where I used to sit on those steps wondering if anyone cared if I existed. Now kids will walk past that building and see proof that someone cares. That somewhere, someone is looking for them. Someone is building something just for them. We've changed adoption laws in our state too. Now biological parents have more rights to find their children once they turn 18. No more sealed records keeping families apart forever. James would have been proud of that. His 18-year fight changed more than just my life. Last month I met with a senator about expanding these laws nationwide. She asked me why this matters so much to me. I pulled out my phone and showed her James's final video. That's my father, I said. He spent 18 years and $91 million trying to tell me he loved me. And he died one day before he could. No other family should go through that. She cried watching that video. 2 weeks later, she introduced new legislation. The Sullivan Act. Named after my father. It won't bring him back. But it might save other families from losing what we lost. The company continues to grow. We just launched a new initiative. Free tech training for foster kids and homeless youth. Teaching them to code, to build computers, to create websites. Skills that can change their lives the way tech changed mine. Mr. Mario retired last year. Sold his pizza shop. I offered to buy it and keep it running, but he said no. You got bigger fish to fry, kid, he laughed. But I'm proud of you. Real proud. Those words meant more than he knew. Because unlike Janet and Tom, Mr. Mario was proud of me not because I made him money, but just because I existed. That's what real family does. Tom reached out to me 3 months ago. Not Janet. Just Tom. He asked to meet for coffee. I almost said no. But curiosity won. We met at a cheap diner. The kind where coffee comes in thick white mugs and costs 99 cents. He looked older. More tired. More defeated. "I'm sorry," he said. Those were his first words. "I'm sorry." "For what specifically?" I asked. "I wasn't going to make this easy." "For all of it. For treating you like a paycheck. For not standing up to Janet. For not being the father you deserved." He stared into his coffee. "I told myself we were doing right by you. Giving you stability. Food. Shelter. But I knew. Deep down I knew we were just doing the minimum. Why didn't you do more?" Fear, I guess. Fear of Janet. Fear of caring too much about a kid who wasn't really mine. Fear of what would happen when the money stopped. He looked up at me. "I know it doesn't change anything. But I am sorry. For whatever that's worth." I looked at this man who taught me to ride a bike. Who showed me how to change a tire. Who could have been a father but chose to be a paycheck collector instead. "It's worth nothing," I said honestly. "Sorry doesn't erase 18 years. Sorry doesn't bring back my real father. Sorry doesn't fix what you broke." Tom nodded. "I know. I just needed to say it anyway." I left him there with his 99-cent coffee and never saw him again. Some apologies come too late to matter. Janet never apologized. Of course she didn't. I heard through the grapevine that she tells people I was ungrateful. That she and Tom sacrificed so much raising me and I abandoned them when I got rich. The delusion is almost impressive. The Anderson Initiative, my father's biggest project, continues to change the tech world. It's an AI system that helps connect foster children with potential adoptive families. But not just any families. It screens them, checks their financial motivations, makes sure they want kids, not money. We've placed 200 kids this year alone. Every placement is named after James. The Sullivan Matches, we call them. Each family gets support, counseling, financial assistance if needed. But the money is transparent, tracked, audited. No more Janet and Toms profiting off broken children. I turned 19 last March. My second birthday since freedom. I spent it at the mountain cabin, alone with my thoughts and James's memory. I made myself chocolate cake from a box mix. Lit 19 candles. Made a wish. I wished that James could see what his love built. What his refusal to give up created. I wished he could see that his son turned out okay. That his sacrifice meant something. The candles flickered in the cabin he built for us. For a family that never got to exist the way he planned. But exists anyway in a different form. In every kid we save. Every family we build. Every law we change. That's his legacy. Not the $91 million. Not the tech empire. But the love that refused to die even when he did. People ask me sometimes if I'm angry. Angry at Janet and Tom for using me. Angry at James's parents for convincing him to give me up. Angry at James for signing those papers in the first place. Angry at the drunk driver who killed my mother. Angry at the car accident that killed my father one day too soon. The answer is complicated. Yes, I'm angry. I'm furious. Some days the rage feels like it will consume me. I want to scream at the universe for the cosmic joke of my life. A father who loved me but never met me. Adoptive parents who met me but never loved me. One day. One single day. That's all that separated me from everything being different. If James had driven to find me on March 13th instead of March 14th. If the roads had been less icy. If he'd left 5 minutes earlier or later. If the other car had been anywhere else. One day changed everything. But anger doesn't change the past. It only poisons the future. So I take that rage and I transform it into foundation work, into changed laws, into saved kids, into love for children who need it. That's what James would have wanted. Not revenge, not bitterness, but transformation, taking pain and turning it into purpose. Last week, I got an email from a woman named Patricia. She'd read about my story in a magazine article. She wrote, "I'm 32 years old. I was adopted at age 2. My adoptive parents treated me like you were treated. Like a paycheck. I thought I was alone. Thank you for showing me I'm not. Thank you for turning your pain into something that helps people like us." I printed that email and put it on my wall, next to James's final message. Because that's why we tell our stories. Not to get sympathy, not to get attention, but to help other people feel less alone. The mountain cabin has become my sanctuary, my place to breathe. I've added some things James didn't put there. Photos of the kids we've helped. Letters from families we've reunited. Drawings from Emma and Marcus and the other children who found homes through our foundation. James's ghost doesn't haunt this place. His love does. I feel it in the fishing pole he bought me. In the books he chose thinking I might like them. In the careful way he prepared this space for a son he'd never met but loved anyway. Sometimes I talk to him out loud. Tell him about my day. About the company. About the foundation. About the lives we're changing together, even though he's not here. I like to think he hears me somehow. That wherever he is, he knows his love found its mark. That his 18-year search ended not in failure but in a different kind of success. He wanted to bring me home. He did. Just not to his physical house. But to his legacy. His purpose. His dream of a world where no child feels unwanted. The tech company board voted last month to rename the company from Sullivan Tech Solutions to Sullivan and Anderson Tech Solutions, honoring both my father and my mother, the two people who gave me life and love, even if I barely knew them. I stood in that boardroom, surrounded by people who knew James for decades and felt his presence. They told stories I'd never heard. About his humor, his stubbornness, his absolute refusal to accept defeat. "He was searching for you the day before he died," the board chairman said. "His last words to me were, 'Tomorrow I meet my son. After tomorrow, everything changes.' He was right. Everything did change. Just not how he planned. The foundation is opening offices in 5 more states next year. Expanding our reach. Saving more kids. Building more families. We're hiring caseworkers who were former foster kids themselves. People who understand what it's like. Who can spot the Janet and Toms from a mile away. Because that's the thing about surviving trauma. You develop radar for it. You can sense the fake love. The calculated care. The people who see children as opportunities instead of humans. I wish I could say I've forgiven Janet and Tom. That I found peace with what they did. But I haven't. Some wounds don't heal. They just scar over. And that's okay. Forgiveness isn't required for moving forward. What's required is refusing to let their cruelty define your capacity for love. They taught me what love isn't. James taught me what love is. Even from a distance. Even through death. Even across 18 years of separation. His love reached me. And now I'm reaching others. That's the circle. That's how we break the cycle. One saved kid at a time. One real family at a time. One changed law at a time. James died believing he failed. But he's saving children he never met through the son he never knew. That's not failure. That's immortality. I keep his cologne on my dresser. Sometimes I spray it just to feel close to him. It smells expensive. Like leather and wood and something I can't name. It smells like the father I never got to hug. The CEO position still feels surreal sometimes. Me, the homeless kid who lived in shelters. Now running a $91 million company. Making decisions that affect hundreds of employees. Signing contracts worth millions. Some days I feel like an imposter. Like someone's going to realize I don't belong here. But then I remember James built this for me. Every line of code. Every business deal. Every success. It was all breadcrumbs leading me home. I belong here because he made sure I would. The private island he bought and named Anderson's Rest sits untouched off the coast. I've been there once. It's beautiful. Perfect white sand. Crystal blue water. A small house painted blue with white trim. Inside, more unopened presents. More letters. More evidence of a love that spanned years and distance and death itself. I don't know what to do with it yet. Maybe turn it into a retreat for foster families. A place where new families can bond without the stress of daily life. Where kids can heal and parents can learn and love can grow. James would like that. His private island becoming a place of healing for broken families. The island he named after my mother becoming a sanctuary for children like me. Everything comes full circle if you let it. Carlos became more than an investigator. He became my friend. My advisor. The closest thing to family I have now. He tells me stories about the search. About the dead ends and false leads. About James's determination that never wavered. He would have searched forever, Carlos said once. Money was no object. Time was no object. He would have spent his entire life looking for you if that's what it took. He did spend his entire life, I replied. From the day he lost me until the day he died. That was his life. Looking for me. The weight of that love sometimes crushes me. The responsibility of living up to it. Of being worthy of a father who sacrificed everything. But then I remember I don't have to be worthy. He loved me before I existed as a person to him. Loved me as an idea. As a possibility. As his son. That's unconditional love. The kind Janet and Tom never understood. The kind that gives without expecting return. The kind that searches without guarantee of finding. The kind that builds empires as lighthouses hoping a lost child sees the light. I see the light now, Dad. I see what you built. I see why you built it. And I promise to keep it burning for other lost children finding their way home. The Sullivan and Anderson Foundation. The Sullivan Act. The Anderson Initiative. Sullivan and Anderson Tech Solutions. Our names together. Father and son. Finally united. Not in person. But in purpose. Not in life. But in legacy. Not in time. But in eternity. Last week we reunited a 15-year-old boy with his biological grandmother who'd been searching for him for 12 years. I watched them meet at the airport. Watched her drop to her knees crying when she saw him. Watched him hesitate, then run to her. Watched love bridge a 12-year gap in seconds. That's what I never got. That moment. That airport reunion. That chance to run to someone who'd been searching for me. But I get to give it to others. And maybe that's enough. Maybe that's more than enough. Maybe that's everything. The chocolate cake I made myself on my birthday sat mostly uneaten. Not because it was bad. But because eating birthday cake alone feels wrong somehow. Next year I'll invite the foundation staff. Carlos. Some of the families we've helped. I'll fill that cabin with people and laughter and life. I'll blow out candles surrounded by love. The kind James wanted to give me. The kind I'm learning to build for myself. People say I'm lucky. Inheriting $91 million. Running a tech empire at 19. But they don't understand the price. The 18 years of emotional poverty. The 4 months of homelessness. The father I'll never meet. The mother I never knew. Lucky isn't the word I'd use. Blessed maybe. Burdened definitely. Responsible absolutely. To use this money right. To honor James's sacrifice. To be the man he believed I could be without ever meeting me. That's a heavy crown to wear. But I'm wearing it. One day at a time. One saved child at a time. One reunited family at a time. Marcus Sullivan Anderson. Theo. Orphan. Fighter. Survivor. Son. Those are my names. My titles. My truth. I am my mother's smile and my father's determination. I am Janet and Tom's biggest mistake. I am proof that love transcends death. That purpose outlives tragedy. That 18 years of searching was not in vain. If this story touched your heart, Please take a moment to like this video and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Your comments mean everything to me, and I read every single one. Subscribe to Boss of Stories for more powerful true stories that remind us all that love always finds a way, even when it takes 18 years and comes from beyond the grave. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for witnessing my pain and my triumph. Thank you for understanding that some wounds never fully heal but can be transformed into something beautiful. To every foster kid watching this, you are not a paycheck. You are not a burden. You are not unwanted. Somewhere, someone is looking for you. Somewhere, someone loves you. And if nobody else does, I do. Because I know what it's like. I've been where you are. And I'm building a ladder back to solid ground for all of us. To every adoptive parent watching this, if you're doing it for the money, stop. Get out. These kids deserve better. But if you're doing it for love, thank you. Thank you for being what Janet and Tom couldn't be. Thank you for seeing children as humans, not bank accounts. Thank you for saving lives. To every biological parent searching for a lost child, don't give up. James never gave up. Even when the lawyers said no. Even when the courts said no. Even when time was running out. He never stopped looking. And his love found me eventually. Your love will find them too. To James Sullivan, the father I never met, I made it home, Dad. I'm standing in the house you built. Running the company you created. Living the legacy you left. You didn't fail. You succeeded beyond your wildest dreams. Not in meeting me, but in shaping me. Your love from a distance taught me more about being a man than 18 years of proximity to Janet and Tom ever could. You showed me that real strength is refusing to give up. That real wealth is love, not money. That real success is measured in lives changed, not dollars earned. I carry you with me every day. In every decision I make. In every child I save. In every family I build. You're not gone. You're multiplied. Living in every kid who finds a home through our foundation. In every law that changes because of your sacrifice. In every story that inspires someone to keep searching for their lost child. That's immortality. Not living forever, but creating love that outlives you. And Dad, your love is eternal. I wish I could have called you that to your face. Dad. I wish I could have blown out birthday candles while you watched. I wish I could have learned about tech from you directly instead of from board members sharing stories. I wish I could have said thank you. I love you. I see you. I know you tried. But I say it now to your memory. To your legacy. To the empty spaces you filled with presents and letters and 18 years of unconditional love. Thank you. I love you. I see you. I know you tried. And you succeeded. Welcome home, son. I'm home now, Dad. Finally home. The journey took 19 years. 4 months of homelessness. 18 years of searching on your end. 1 car accident that changed everything. $91 million that means nothing compared to the love that came with it. I'm home in your house. Your company. Your legacy. Your love. And I'm bringing other lost children home too. One at a time. The way you would have wanted. The way you taught me without ever speaking a word directly to me. That's the power of love. It doesn't need proximity. It doesn't need time. It doesn't even need life. It just needs truth. And the truth is this. You were my father in every way that matters. Biology gave me your DNA. But love gave me everything else. Thank you for never stopping. Thank you for building me a home even when you couldn't bring me to it. Thank you for showing me what unconditional love looks like. I'll spend the rest of my life passing it forward. To every lost child looking for home. To every searching parent refusing to give up. To every Janet and Tom who needs to understand that children are not commodities. To every person who's ever felt unwanted, unloved, or alone. This is your reminder. Love finds a way. Always. Even across 18 years. Even across death. Even when every odd is stacked against it. Love finds a way. James found me. Not in person. But in every way that matters. Through money that changes lives. Through letters that heal wounds. Through a foundation that saves children. through a love that refused to die. And now I'm finding others, bringing them home, one lost child at a time. Because that's what we do when we've been lost and found. We become the lighthouse for others still searching for shore. Welcome home, son. I'm home, Dad. Finally, completely, eternally home. Thank you for watching Boss of Stories. Subscribe for more true stories that prove love is stronger than death, determination is stronger than circumstance, and home is not a place but a feeling you carry in your heart wherever you go. Until next time, keep searching, keep loving, keep bringing lost children home.